Well, is everybody excited? Welcome tonight, and the first thing I'm going to do is introduce you to the President of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, Jane Glade.
So, I just walked in at the very last minute, so I apologize for that, and I don't really have any remarks prepared other than, it's so encouraging to see such a large group of potential new business owners and current business owners doing something like this. And I know it's all about working for that grant in the end, but you have got so many resources here that it's unbelievable. So regardless of how all of this ends up, I hope that you will take advantage of every opportunity, every networking opportunity, every contact that they put you in front of, because this is an unbelievable program, an absolutely unbelievable program. And I think the participants from last year would tell you the same thing. So I'm really excited, and I hope to be able to attend some of the classes with you, because as a current business owner, I think there are probably some things that I could certainly benefit from as well. So thank you all so much, and good luck.
So I will call your attention to the back of the room for some of our other partners. Sandy Ratliff is our marketing guru and Virginia Department of Small Business and Supplier Diversity. She's taught several new knowledge classes. Yes, ma'am. And she's my boss. Suzanne Lay just walked out the door, and she is the executive director of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, which is also one of our participating partners. Deborah Wagner is with People Incorporated. They are a participating partner. We have a very good team of people who put this program together and spend a lot of hours trying to make sure that it's something that everybody can take home and use. We'll introduce Cindy in just a minute, and we have David McLeish with us, and David was one of the winners of last year's challenge. So, oh, I didn't see Tom over there. Tom Fleckenstein. I got to take these glasses off so I can see. Tom Fleckenstein is with the Small Business Development Centers, and his office is Virginia Highlands Community College, and he is a wonderful asset for actually helping people perfect and finish their business plans. So he's going to be teaching part of the class next week. So, yeah, I'm going to introduce David, because we're going to introduce your instructor tonight after David. I'm going to let David tell you a little bit about his experience last year with the Business Challenge.
Hi, as she said, my name's Dave McLeish. I own Dreamland Alpacas in Meadowview, Virginia, and I was a participant last year. I was sitting here a year ago, I guess, right about now. I was one of the finalists. What I can tell you is you're going to get some valuable knowledge, some great connections, and the people teaching the courses, just pay attention. I mean, they're very informative. You're going to learn a lot, and it's a lot of work. Wish you all luck. Have fun with it. Thank you.
Okay. Sandy, do you want to come and talk about some of the...
Just quickly, in your notebook, there is a list of mentors that hopefully during this challenge you're going to reach out to. As you've already met Tom Fleckenstein, Tom can help you with developing of your business plan, which is a key component to this challenge, as well as Gary McGow in the main back. Gary, raise your hand. Gary has years and years experience. Gary used to be the chair of our SCORE chapter here in the Tri-Cities area, and he's got a lot of knowledge. So you've got two people that I encourage you to use, and you've got their contact information. Also, Cindy Green, which she'll be talking about in a little bit, she will be a great resource for you when you're looking at your credit, any of your financial information, as well as some local resources. And of course, I'll be happy to help with one thing I love. For some of you all were here last Wednesday when we did our new knowledge on marketing. That's the part that I love, is marketing, as well as helping you if you're wanting to look at another resource or I guess an area for you to sell your products and services is state government. In Virginia, we purchase about $6 billion annually in goods and services and construction So if there's anything I can help you with on getting registered. Also, we have a special initiative in Virginia for small and/or woman and/or minority-owned businesses. That's our special set-aside for businesses we call SWAM, as well as a new program that started in July called Micro Business, which gives even more opportunities for small businesses under 25 employees and no more than $2 million in sales. So if there's something I can help you with that, I would be happy to do that. As well as my partner here, Kathy Lowe here at the Incubator. Kathy also has a lot of years' experience in running businesses. She can help you from a management standpoint, as well as, you know, how am I going about this? She can give you a great deal of information because she's been there. She's got her hands smacked a few times, and that's the best kind of resource you can have. We can tell you all the stuff, but until you meet with some of these folks that's actually been through it, that means a whole lot. And one more that's not here tonight is Nita Farmer with the Chamber. She's been a partner, a key partner for Kathy and myself in putting this program together. Nita is a great resource to help you in networking, and you know, one of the things you need to think about, you know, the Chamber is a strong ally in this program, and when you're talking about networking for a small business, I cannot think of a better resource when you're in your community as a Chamber of Commerce, and it's very affordable. So any questions you may have on local contacts and resources, Nita is a great resource. And there's a couple others on tourism-related businesses that you can tap into, as well as town. So there's a lot of mentors here, and there's probably some that we've not even tapped into, depending on what your specific needs are. But we want you to be successful. That's how this whole thing works. We want you to be successful like David, and win some money and help you to either launch a new business or expand a new business. So the next 6 weeks we're in it with you. It's up to you to reach out to us. We can only do so much, so the ball's in your court.
And Sandy thinks I'm the meanest one of the group, so she asked me to go over the rules.
She is. I'm a good
Yeah. So if you all will look at the rules in the front of your notebook, and we just want to make sure that this is clear. We learned some lessons from last year's challenge, and so we just want to make sure that everything is clear tonight. And if you have any questions, we want you to ask them now. The things that Sandy have highlighted, or we have highlighted, is number 2, your business must be for profit, and you must be able to prove that your business is operating in Washington County. If you cannot do that, you do not qualify. However, you can certainly continue to participate. Number 4 is very important, and we are going to stick to this. You have to create a minimum of 1 full-time job to qualify. Now, if you are an existing business, that means you have to create a job. If you are a new business, the job is yours. So, you know, it's kind of easy, but, you know, the reason that the town and the county are giving all this money is for job creation. So, you know, we have to have some economic development going on here. Number 6, and this is very important, we ran into this last year a little bit. If you are applying as a team or a partnership, one person in that partnership has to be at every single meeting. So, you know, if it's a partnership and you know, one of you know that you can't come to something, make sure the other partner is here, because the other rule that we do not deviate from is number 8, and that is that it is mandatory for you to be here for all 6 classes. And if you leave more than 15 minutes early, or you come more than 15 minutes late, you will be disqualified. Inclement weather. If it snows, and Virginia Highlands Community College has announced that they are not operating on Tuesday, we will go with the community college's schedule, and we will host that class on Thursday. If it's still that snowy, we'll make that decision later. We didn't plan past 2 snow days. And again, the applicant leader, must be at all classes and the 15-minute rule applies. Your business plan is due on March the 5th. It is due in the Chamber of Commerce office at the Government Center. Does everybody know where that office is? Any questions about that? Okay. It is due on March the 5th. By the time they close, I would suggest that you have it in there by 4, just to be safe. The decision of the judges is final. We have gone to great lengths to make this fair. We have 4 judges that you will be presenting your information to at one of the sessions. We also have 3 anonymous judges who have no idea who you are, and you won't get to talk to them, and you'll have no idea who they are. And they will purely and solely read the business plan and grade it by the rubric. And there is a grading rubric that Sandy, do we hand that out at a later class?
I'm sorry, on
The rubric for the business plan?
the what did you say?
The rubric, the
The biggest part is on your business plan. That's probably, I would say, somewhere 75% of your
Right.
score is on your business plan.
right, but there's a set of guidelines to go through by the business plan that we hand out during this 6-week session, so you'll have something to go by. If you need help, as Sandy said, we have mentors, and we're not trying to be hard-nosed. We just learned that in order to be fair to everybody, we have to be fair to everybody. We have to treat everybody the same. Number 19 is very important. You have to present to the chamber, if you are a winner, you have to present paid receipts, not purchase orders. We have to know that you've got at least enough money to run your business somewhat. So if you are a winner, you present your paid receipts to the Chamber of Commerce. They will reimburse the first $5,000. So it's not a match. You will get your money back, but the reimbursement of that money comes along with all the other rules of meeting with your mentor during the year after you have won. You have to meet with a mentor once a month for at least 6 months. So, so that if we see that you need help, we know how to refer you. We want these businesses to succeed. And so we're doing everything we could possibly do to make them successful. There are 2 winners, and I'm sorry that there are not 19. Maybe this will grow into a situation where we will have more money in the future. But right now, first place for a startup business is $5,000. For a startup, here at Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, you can have your rent for 1 year at half price. It's already $1.05 a square foot, so, half price is pretty good. And you will get a 1-year membership to the Chamber of Commerce. Second place will get a 1-year membership to the Chamber of Commerce. And it is very important, if you are in a community, to network with the people in that community and the businesses in that community. Because in a small community, that's how we lift each other up. For an expanding or an existing business, we're also giving away $5,000 and a 1-year membership to the Chamber of Commerce. And again, second place for an existing business is a 1-year membership. If an existing business actually wanted to expand in the incubator, we will also honor that half price offer, but generally if you're an existing business, you're going to remove your business just for half price rent. So, are there any questions? Okay, well, it is, yes.
Presentation, does your partner have to be at all these sessions to participate in the presentation?
No. You have, for instance, you and your wife are a team, you have to be at every session from here on out. However, she can come and help you present on the night that you present to the judges. That's correct, right?
That's correct.
Yes. So anybody in your affiliated with your business, even if it's a coworker, you know, they can come and help you present. It's just that everybody here tonight has to be here for the next 6 weeks.
And the presentation, my friend?
Last year it was 8 minutes. You had 8 minutes to do your presentation. And at about 6 minutes, I'll start putting the reminder, 2 minutes, and then 1 minute, and then I've got a big hook that I'm going to out.
She just wants you all, yeah, that's right. I'm the devil, you know. So without, okay, yes, Amy.
I have one question.
Okay.
With mine as an existing business, I've just hired 2 staff. Would I have to hire another one after the
That is part of the
competition?
challenge, is after you receive the funding for the guidelines, because you've already hired them. You're not adding an additional one as a result of receiving the funding. Right, Debbie? You're doing these all the time.
Okay.
Hey Kathy, let's go around the room quickly. Everybody introduce yourself, because this is where the synergies, what you're gonna be doing, if you wanna share that. We're
Have
gonna
you-
have to on each
Have
side.
you passed,
And I'm here as Cindy's sort of helper, so,
okay,
My name is Randall Mullins, and I'm starting up Down to Earth Academy.
okay.
Jack Van Hook, owner of J&M Tool and Supply.
Okay. So, tonight, when you sign up, decide who's gonna be the point man, woman.
Mike Bowlby, my wife, and I are opening up Adventure Manila. We're out in the company opening up Manila.
And I am Tom Childress, and I'm starting up Dixie Entertainment.
I'm Catherine Hayden, and I'm starting a business of custom cakes and cupcakes.
Do
Of
you need
what?
anybody in quality control?
What's she say?
Taste
tester.
Oh,
Cakes and
chocolate.
we'll put you on the river raft. We'll put you on the river raft.
I'm Angie Wilson, and I own Cut Nut Hair Salon and Spa.
I'm Marguerite Burwell, and I own Reed's Sweet Treats.
Y'all have
Quality
seen-
control too.
Yeah.
Lee Coburn, I have local dogs.
And I like hot dogs too. And we can go for free.
I'm Valerie Cardell, we're in a strong outdoor startup business for outdoor rentals and recreation equipment.
I'm Susan Miller, and I'm
Okay.
I'm Sally Garrett, the owner of the Highlands Union Bank.
Okay.
Lindsay Wilderfield, and I just opened Paper Moon Studio in Abingdon.
I'm Jennifer Miller, and I'm just starting up the friendly taxi service here in Abingdon, Virginia.
Yeah.
Reva Marion, I'm starting a lifestyle blog, Love and Local. I'm Nicole Dyer, and I just recently opened Wakeford's Juice Company in Abingdon.
My name is Marla, and I have the Crooked Road General Store in Bristol, Virginia, and I'm responsible for all the bills.
Oh, great, very good. And,
Tim Flanagan, New Vision Marketing, and I'm streaming every one of you live.
live
They
tonight,
don't see
folks.
your faces, they just hear your voices.
I'm John Calmet, and I'm starting up a small tech company.
I'm William Gibson, and I'm looking to start up a new automotive repair shop here in Abingdon.
Okay.
Gibson's
Can I change the
Service.
cupcakes?
Let me, something just came to mind, and let me clarify this, and before we get started. If your business is under a year old, you are considered a startup. If your business is more than a year old, you are considered expanding.
I'm assuming you mean from the date of the incorporation, or what do you mean by that? Just
Corporation, or when they open the door.
what if you have no
doors. I guess you start up if you have no doors.
Something that proves what date your business started?
If you file as a sole proprietor in your tax returns, you will, and you've been a sole proprietor for more than a year, you will be an expanding business, not a startup.
And did you get a business license or?
They're not required in Washington County.
Really?
Right. They're required in the town of Abingdon, but they are not required in the county.
But if you got a business plan last year in April, then that counts as being a startup because it's been less than a year. But your business.
A business plan doesn't have to do
Yeah.
it.
Have you started? I had a business license that I got in April of last year. I would renew it in April of this year.
Under a year is a startup.
Have you opened it? Yeah. It's been open since April of last year.
That's under a year.
But that's under a year, yeah.
Well, no, but the end of the challenge is in March. Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Check tested.
Yeah, under a year. So anyway, these things are things that we verify, and, just keep that in mind. And let's have some fun now. I am pleased to introduce Cindy Green, who is a mentor, a partner, and someone that I have learned a lot from myself. So without further ado, Cindy Green.
As Kathy said, I'm with People Incorporated, and I've got to try to stay within this parameter, so while we're doing the live streaming, so when I start wandering, you all tell me to get back over here. I'm with People Incorporated, and the department that I work for is our financial services department, and what we do is we help entrepreneurs, and we just celebrated our 20th anniversary, so we've been doing this for quite a while. I've been with them almost 6 years. Prior to that, I worked at a car dealership for 20. I started out receptionist, worked my way up, and ended up being a sales manager before I left. So I've done the retail side, and I'm now working for a nonprofit. I got engaged over the weekend, and my fiance is a small business owner, and I have been in the trials and tribulations for the last year and a half of that, and we survived that. So I have some firsthand experience on what it's like to be a small business owner, and you need to be passionate about what you're doing and love it to put in the hours that you'll have to put in being a small business owner. So, without further ado, we are going to jump in and start talking about business plans. How many of you all are excited to write a business plan? Woo! Woo! Yes! Fun stuff, fun stuff. Let me find my clicker here. Who can tell me why you would want to have a business plan? Why are we weighting this competition 50% on your business plan? Why is it important to have a good business plan?
For success.
Yes.
For marketing. Like
Marketing.
if you need, finances for my bank or brother.
Very good point. A bank will not look at a business loan for you unless you have a business plan. People Incorporated will not look at a business loan for you without a business plan. Someone else right there? Yes.
There's usually goals set inside of it, so it helps you to know what you're achieving.
Very good. I learned this the hard way. I helped my fiance with his business plan, and we studied the financials. It was an existing business he bought for 6 months before we made the decision to purchase that business. And a funny thing happens once you open your own business. All of a sudden, it's like chaos. You're going 100 miles an hour. You're trying to take care of the customer. You're trying to produce your supply or your product, whatever you're making for sale, or you're providing a service. You don't have time to go back and look at, oh, I planned on spending $300 for marketing in January. You don't have time to go back and try to figure that stuff up, so you better have that and something you can go back to. So when it's midnight and you're scrambling, we don't have the money that we thought we were going to have. Well, we can go back and we have something we can look at. So it's a living document. It's not something that you're just going to do for this competition and then put it in a drawer and forget about it. It's going to be something that you touch frequently, especially that first year, because you're going to make adjustments as you go. So tonight we're going to talk about a business plan. I'm going to talk to you about some financing, why customer service is important. I think we all know that. We're going to do some We're gonna talk about research and marketing, and I'm gonna talk to you about some more resources that are available in Virginia. You heard about quite a few tonight, but there's even more than that, so we'll cover that as well. One way that I like to look at a business plan is I think of it kind of as a roadmap. Would you jump in the car and take a trip across country without doing any planning at all? Now, every once in a while, I have somebody raise their hand and say, yeah, I'd do that. But would you load your family up and you're grinning, you probably would, load your family up and drive across country without a plan? How are you going to know how much money you need? How are you going to know where you're going to stay when you get there? Are you going to ask your family before you load them up and take them on a trip? Probably. And being a small business owner, like it or not, your family's going with you on this journey. So I like to kind of equate it to a roadmap. It kind of simplifies it. Now, I was asking the powers that be here over the competition, and they're telling me that the business plan is going to be the biggest weighted scoring thing, okay? They're going to look at your business plan stronger than they're going to look at anything. And that's kind of good if you're not a public speaker and you get nervous doing presentation. They are going to look at your presentation, but the business plan is going to be the biggie. So I'm really going to try to hammer this in for you and make you feel comfortable with creating your business plan tonight. In the packet that you've got the notebook. Now the handouts that are the loose leaves that are not in your notebook, those are the ones that I brought. And you should see your presentation there. Let's see, where you can make notes. Try to follow me here. Let's see what else we got in here. We're going to delve in. Okay, business plan template. Giving you a template, and we're going to walk through this. I think the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So we're going to break this down, and we're going to do it one section at a time so it's not so overwhelming. We are actually going to do a cash flow tonight. I know that sounds exciting. Keep you all in suspense for that one. But I want you to feel comfortable with that because I think that is the most important financial statement that you need to understand when you're running a business. So we've already talked about why the business plan makes sense, so we won't belabor that point. What goes into a business plan? All right, so the first thing is the executive summary. That's a fancy word for tell me what your business idea is. That's if you were sitting with a friend, having coffee, and you told them what your business idea was. What your service is going to be, what your product's going to be, where the business is going to be, how you plan on marketing your business. I would recommend that you write that section last. Even though it's the first section, if you do all of your other research throughout, the executive summary will be a lot easier for you because you will have done your homework. Make sense? This is where you're going to capture the person's attention that's looking at the business plan. Tom, you jump in there. Tom's our resident business plan expert, so if there's anything that you want to add to it, you feel free to do that. And you all stop me with any questions, please. I get lonely up here, so it does not hurt my feelings at all. Tom?
Yeah, one thing about the business plan, and Cindy, you were dead on when you said you do the numbers first. The problem you run into if you don't do that is that if you write all the verbiage first and then try to squeeze the numbers to work, you're not going to get an accurate plan or an accurate snapshot of what's going on. My grandfather had a saying, money's an object that you don't have any. So what you do is you start that cash flow, which Cindy's going to walk through, to determine what it's going to take to do what you need to do. Then, with all the homework you did to get those numbers accurate, you've got all the data to write the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, because that's really what you're trying to do, is to flesh out how I arrived at these numbers, why I went the way I did. The executive summary is really just a one or even a half page overview of what the plan's all about.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody who is looking at it and what bankers do, and is Deborah still here? Anyway, what they do is they usually have a stack this tall. They're going through the business loans. If you're going for a loan, they read the executive summary first, and they flip right to the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the summary looks good, they're going to go back to what they're comfortable with and see will it fly.
Mm-hmm.
Then they'll go back and look at it. So this is huge. The executive summary is huge.
again, do this one last. Yes?
The other, piece of advice I'd offer when you're doing your pro forma profit and loss is make it as detailed as you can make it. List everything you're gonna get money for, everything you can think of that you're gonna get money for. Put it down. Every expense that you think you're gonna have, even if it's small, put it down. The more detailed you can be with your projection, the more accurate it's gonna be. And if you do it with the necessary detail, you're gonna find you're gonna come pretty close to what you think you're gonna need. It's important that you remember, make it detailed.
Good point. And we're gonna actually take a business and we're gonna do a cash flow for that business tonight so that you'll feel a little more comfortable with that. People don't normally sit and do business cash flows unless you're Tom. That's his job. That's what he does, is help people with business plans. But so don't let that intimidate you or overwhelm you, because there are free resources available to help you with that part of it, because that part can be a little intimidating. Okay, so now we're going to jump to the next section. It's business description. Nothing fancy here. Where are you going to have your business? Maybe your business is going to be online. Maybe you're not going to have a storefront. Maybe you are going to have a storefront. Just wherever that location is. And what is your service area? Are you only going to be servicing Washington County? That's great. But what are you? Maybe you're going to sell online. Maybe your service area is going to be larger than Washington County. They want to know what the product in this or service is and what your goal is. And this bottom one right here is a biggie. How is your business different? We just did a business challenge like this in Hayside, Buchanan and Dickinson County. Dickinson County, Hayside has 3 pizza places. The girl that won that challenge was the number 3 pizza place, okay? But she told us why her pizza place was going to be different, okay? And had a good business plan and did a good presentation on that. Operations and management, that's your next section. We want to know, if it's an existing business, we want to know the history. If it's a startup, you won't have that part. We want to know what your legal status is going to be. We're going to talk about that tonight, because you may or may not know what we mean by that. Management, who's going to be managing it? You may be great at making cupcakes, but maybe you're not real good at accounting. I'm just using that as an example. Maybe you're good at fixing cars, but maybe you're not good with managing people. Maybe you're great at, I don't know, singing, but maybe you're not necessarily good at, again, payroll or taxes. That's okay. We just want to know who you're going to have handle that part. So you can say, I'm going to have whatever accounting firm will do my taxes for me. I've got so-and-so that has management experience, and that's who's going to manage my business. We just want to know how you're going to handle that. All right, so the next section of your business plan, and I'm going to stand over here. Product and service. What consumer needs are you meeting? Consumers are selfish, aren't we? If I go to spend my money, Sandy can vouch for this because I'm real tight and thrifty, or cheap, some would call me, but I want to know what's in it for me. Okay? So you need to tell me what consumer needs are being met, how is your business going to meet those needs, and what factors, or I need to know who your supplier or your distributor is going to be. Be careful depending on just one supplier. If you just have one supplier for your product, what happens if that business goes down? It can happen. Make sure you've got a backup plan for that as well. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything there. Oh, and government regulations. Let's say you're opening up a restaurant. Maybe you find out that you don't have the necessary equipment to meet the health code, and maybe you're not going to get your permit to open your restaurant. I know hair salons, and they are very, very regulated, aren't they? And you have to have past inspections and those type of things. So Make sure that you've covered that as well, and make sure there's not any other barriers that you need to overcome to get into the market. If there are, that's fine, just make sure that you put that in your business plan, that you've checked into that. Okay, marketing. Who's your target market? Who in here knows who their target market is? Do you know what age you're targeting? Anybody want to volunteer?
All ages.
All ages.
Well, anyone that can drive, I'm sorry.
Ah, okay, that narrowed it down a little bit, didn't it? 16 years and older.
There you go.
Okay. How about income? Is your target market a certain income? Do you know if it is? That's something you want to check into. Location. Where are you going to be doing your marketing? If you're just targeting here in Washington County, if your customer base is just going to be Washington County, then that's where you'll be targeting your marketing. Is it going to be Southwest Virginia? Then that puts a whole nother spin on it. Okay, so make sure that you know where your customers are. You need to know who your customers are, then you can figure out where they are and where you're going to advertise. And I'm going to talk about some marketing techniques tonight, and then one of the sessions on February 24th, they're going to have an entrepreneur come in, and she's going to talk about the different marketing strategies that she's used, some that worked and some that didn't. Who is your competition? Again, you can learn so much from your competition. They are a wealth of information. You can see what they're doing good and learn from that and do that. You can see what they're doing wrong. The pizza place that I said won the challenge in Hayside the end of last year, that was a big part of her presentation, was talking about this is what we're going to do. Yes, there are other pizza places, but we're going to have this, we're going to do this, and this is what's going to set us apart. She had done her homework. She had gone and actually eaten at those other places and could tell you what they were doing that wasn't working and then what they were doing that she would improve on. All right, here's the scary part. This is where we go run for the hills. The financial data. You can get help with this information. We are going to, like I said, I'm going to have you do a cash flow. I'm also, in your packet, I gave you a sample balance sheet. So those of you that are like me and took accounting eons ago, and I remember the term balance sheet, but what was that thing again? You can look that over.
Real quick question before
Yes.
you move on. You were talking about how the pizza person talked about her competition.
Mm-hmm.
Is it appropriate to talk specifically about this company A, this company B, and what you want to do differently than them, or is that?
If they're your direct competition, in her situation, she's in a little small town, and the first thing I thought was, can this town actually handle another? Is there enough business for a third pizza place in that small of an area? So it was really relevant for her. And I would say on a case-to-case basis, you know, if you have direct competition in your backyard, yeah, you better have done your homework on it. I mean, it's as much for your success as it is to win the challenge.
Well, of course you have to know your competition, but what I'm getting at is, do I specifically say, I'm better than Pizza Hut, and here's why I'm better than Pizza Hut, and here's all the stuff wrong with Pizza Hut? You see what I mean?
No, I would not spend.
That's what I'm asking, because that doesn't seem.
No, I see what you're saying there. No, she mentioned it, she acknowledged it, and it would have been I think a mistake on her part to have been oblivious to it and not address the elephant in the room, which I think she did, and she did a good job. No, she didn't spend much time talking about them, and no, that would take away from your business idea if you just spent all your time talking about somebody else. That answer your question?
I think so. So if you do have some fairly direct competition, you can say, I charge this for this service, they charge this for a comparable service, and just kind of have a list.
And
like
we're
that.
going to talk about that more, and that's positioning in the market, and maybe you don't need to be the cheapest. Maybe your customer service is going to be better. Maybe you're going to be providing a service, an additional thing that they're not. And consumers will pay for that if it's justified. And we're going to talk about that, about positioning in the market as well. Anybody else have questions? I did go through that fast, but we got a lot to cover. So you stop me. It doesn't bother me at all to ask questions. So back to the handout I had given you. You've got a balance sheet there. You've got an income statement. And we are going to talk about a cash flow. you can get assistance with these, okay? Tom, actually, I've got Tom's contact information coming up right here. You've got Tom Fleckenstein, who's in the corner back here, and he works for the Small Business Development Center. Your tax dollars are paying for this service. Take advantage of this. They can help you. And then also there's 2 other locations, but if all of you are going to be in Washington County, then obviously Tom would be your contact. And let's do Tom a favor, not wait till the very last night before time to submit the business plan to call Tom and say, I need to see you yesterday.
Yeah,
I
my
would-
presentation is tomorrow, help me with the cash flow.
Let's not do that.
You know,
Do
things like that.
your handouts for those back here? Yes, I think we have some. Here, this goes with it. There's one packet. There may be some more back there.
No,
we just have a couple back here in the back.
Yeah.
Need copies? Okay. Okay, so we know we can get help with Tom. Other thing I was gonna say, if you would like to have an Excel spreadsheet that you can put your cash flow information into, you can email me and I can send you a template for that, if you're comfortable with Excel. Now, if you're not, don't worry about it, but that's just another option for you. You've got my business card there, shoot me an email and I'll be glad to send you a template that would pre-fill it. If you do not know Excel, I would not recommend now being the time to try to learn Excel and do a business plan, okay? All right, what else do we have to do? We've got to determine our legal entity, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, so let's skip that for now. You want to check the name availability on the State Corporation Commission. That's where you would actually go and register your business. If you wanted to register it as an LLC, which we're going to talk about that here in a minute, or incorporate it, that's where you do that. And my understanding is it's $100 to do that, and then to renew it, it's $50 each year. After that, we want to check and see if your URL is available. Do that before you start printing business cards. You may be promoting someone else's business if you don't check that first, okay? So those of you that have not gotten a website yet, make sure that you check that it's available, and you can do that on that website right there on number 4. You want to get a federal ID or IRS number. That's kind of the way that the IRS will treat your business. That's your business's social security number. Okay, so that's your federal ID number. You can get that on there. It's amazing how quick and easy they make that. The IRS loves for you to have that because they know that you're going to have to pay the taxes to them. But I like to have that as well because you don't want to give your social security number to some places that require a federal ID number. They'll take your social or they'll take that federal ID number, but you don't want your social security number all over the place. So I would encourage you to get that as well. Are you going to collect sales tax? You need to collect sales tax. So you would register with the Virginia Department of Taxation, that's number 6, and the information to do that is on there. We are also going to make sure that you have your questions ready for the accountant that's going to be here on February 17th. So if you're not sure what taxes you're supposed to be collecting, make your notes and take advantage of having someone here that can answer those questions for you. The little girl that I was telling you, I say little girl, she's younger, so I call her that, but the one that won the challenge in Hayside, we went last week and spoke to her about it, and we were like, what, about her experience with the challenge and what she felt like we could improve on. And she said the one area that she didn't feel like she was quite prepared for was the taxes, when she didn't realize that there were deadlines, that you have to pay some taxes quarterly. Sales tax you have to pay, I think it's monthly. Is that right, Tom? Monthly on sales tax. Payroll taxes have to be, there's deadlines for all this stuff, and she didn't realize that. So I took that as a lesson learned for myself as an instructor and told her I appreciated her input, and we'll make sure that we have an accountant, which they've already taken care of that for you on February 17th. So make sure that you have your questions on taxes. Check with the Department of Professional and Occupational Regulation. In other words, do you need any special permits? I see the hairdresser going, yes, you do. It's amazing. I've been surprised at the permits that you have to have a hair salon. And then If you need to have a business license, it depends on where your business is gonna be. Some counties require it, some counties don't. Some cities do, some cities don't. We don't keep track of it because we serve too many counties to keep track of that. So just find out if you're in the town limits, if you have to have one, and vice versa.
Cindy?
Yes?
We're easing a little bit away from business plans, so before we go too much further, can I just interject a couple of things? The business plan is the common denominator for banks and for judging and for people who are reading the business plan and for yourself to do planning. We've all been to meetings or organization things that we walked out of the room and said, gee, I know more about than that guy. You don't want your business plan to read like that. You want the reader of your business plan to say, wow, they have really done their research. This is impressive. That's what it has to say. Not only to win the award, but so you're prepared for the first day when you open the business. So you're prepared, you've got all your homework done. The second bit of advice I would say, what I normally recommend is part of the business plan is the research that you have to do to figure out what you're gonna do. I recommend taking the time and spending the money to go to another business like the one you have. It's not a competitor. Maybe Roanoke or Knoxville or Asheville or somewhere. Contact some of those business owners and say, I'm gonna do this in Abingdon or Washington County, and I got a whole bunch of questions. Can you help me with that? Anybody who's running a successful business, they can tell you who their sales agents are, how much they spend, where they got their racks, where they got their materials. Maybe we can pony up and buy materials cheaper. You can find out all kinds of information by just making a few telephone calls or getting in the car and going and asking somebody. That's the quickest way to find out. Between now and the time you got to submit your business plan is short. So if you don't have it underway and have it in pretty good condition, you've got a lot of work to do. So my recommendation is go visit some other business, call them in advance, look at the phone book, get on the internet, whatever it is. Go visit them and spend some time with them. Take pictures. Where did you get the racks, and where did you get these paintings on the wall, and what kind of point of sale software do you use? How much do they charge you for your credit card use? All those kinds of things. You can find that stuff out in 4 hours. Instead of searching and calling banks, you can go right to the business owner and they can help you. And if they're successful, they'll sit down and they'll talk your ear off.
Yeah, because they're proud of what they've done, and they are very helpful. Other entrepreneurs are, for sure. Definitely. Thank you. Okay, so one of the most important things that you're going to need to decide is how you're going to set up the legal entity of your business. Okay? So you can do the sole proprietorship, which is normally the go-to one that people do because it's the easiest. And that's basically no additional payroll reporting. Any money that you make on your Schedule C gets transferred right over to the first page of your tax return. No headaches, pretty much you just set it up and go. Now, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily the way that you want to go, but I want to explain to you the differences between them so that you can make an educated decision on how you're going to do this. Partnership, that's basically an agreement between 2 or more people that are going to run a business. We don't necessarily discourage partnerships, but we do encourage you to go in them with eyes wide open because it's easier to get a divorce than it would be to separate a business that you've gone into a partnership with. If you've signed if you've signed for loans together and your partner decides this just isn't fun working 60 hours a week anymore, I'm out of here, well, you could be left holding the bag. And sometimes we see where 2 people will come in to apply for a loan, and that one person has all the collateral, they have the good credit, and that other person's a good salesperson, but they're not putting any skin in the game. And we've seen those fall apart, obviously. So, again, I'm not discouraging you from doing it, but make sure you have an exit strategy. If you do go into a partnership, that you know what you're going to do if something should go wrong and one of the partners wants out of it.
Corporation, you may decide that you want to set up a corporation. You do that through the State Corporation Commission. Stockholders are not generally personally liable. It's more expensive to set up. I had always heard that if you set up a corporation, you get tax breaks. You get some great tax breaks. So we go into the accountant, we're going to do a corporation because there's tax breaks. And he's sitting there going, no, the IRS has pretty much figured out any loopholes that people were using. There is a slight employee tax break that you can get, but I'm not an accountant. Again, that's a good question for you to ask on the 17th when we have the accountant come in. Ask them, would it be better for me to be in a corporation or would it be better for me to do a LLC? And LLC is the other one. You can be a single person and be an LLC. You can be a partnership and be an LLC. You can also be a corporation and be an LLC. It's not a tax entity. The IRS doesn't care, but this is just to protect you, your liability if someone were to sue the business. It separates you and the business as two separate entities. Now, I'm not saying that if you were to sign a loan to start up your business, that if the business fails, they're not going to come after you, because they will if you personally guaranteed something. But it does give you a little bit better protection liability-wise. Tom, is there anything you would add to that?
It's just, well, I think from an LLC standpoint, that seems to be the latest fad. It has been for about 10 years. It's a little less expensive and a little more cumbersome, a little less cumbersome than a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Each has its own pros and cons, and what you need to do is to take a good hard look and really become a walking encyclopedia on all aspects of the business. This one's extremely important if you feel that you need that buffer of exposure to liability, because you lose everything you own.
Mm-hmm.
And things like restaurants and things where you're dealing with the general public, you're feeding somebody, or you're doing like that, I strongly recommend somebody have that. It's not going to guarantee anything.
No, it doesn't guarantee, right.
It creates another buffer, one more level for legal entities to go through. But LLCs, a little bit easier to work with than a sub-S, less paperwork. You don't have to have annual meetings. You don't have to get board approval for making a purchase and that kind of stuff. So, but I strongly recommend anyone to talk with their legal and or financial counselors as to what would be the best way for you to go through this. Each case is different.
I have, on almost everything we've talked about so far, I've got reference material, reference documents, things about business plans, things about pro forma profit and loss. I've got comparisons between the different entities, be it sole proprietor, partnership, or whatever. So if anybody needs any of that information or wants to read up on stuff, I've got tons of that stuff, and I can just email it to you, and you can read it over. If you've got questions, then we can deal with it.
Great. Okay, we'll get your email information and share it with the group. Another great resource for you, and this actually, let me tell you the website because it doesn't tell you on here. It's businessoneStop.virginia.gov is a website that you can go to get additional resources for the state of Virginia. And you can click if you're considering starting a business, or maybe you've already started, or you're looking to expand, what have you, and you can click on there and it gives you additional resources as well.
One stop with the letter, the number one?
No, but it's spelled out. It's spelled out businessoneStop.virginia.gov.
Is Virginia spelled out?
Yeah, it's spelled out. It's all spelled out. But if you just Google, if you Google Virginia Business One Stop, it comes up. I Google everything. Okay, so let's talk about, once we're open for business, how are we going to take money and how are we going to get money for this business? Establish a business checking account. Do not try to run your business out of your personal checking account. Disaster. It will not work. Multiple reasons. One, when you go to file your taxes, The IRS is funny about that. They want to know what was business and what was personal. And if you've got it all mixed up like this, it's not going to go so well. Plus, you're going to end up missing things that you could deduct as a business expense because you have it mixed up with your personal. What we've done is we have a business account, we have a tax account, so each pay period or each week we put a certain amount of money into the tax account. So when that quarterly tax is due, we just write that check out, and that money's already over there. We keep everything separate so that when it's time to turn that over to the accountant to do the taxes, we have it already separated. So you want to keep clean records on that. How are you going to take payment from your customers? Have you thought about that? Are you going to have a credit card processing machine? Let me tell you, if you do not take debit cards, you would not sell me anything because I most of the time have no cash on me. I don't know if anyone else is like that. You have different options, and I know some of you have heard about these different little gadgets. You could use, you could do Square, where you, let's say if you're out at a festival and you're selling your product, let's say you're doing an outdoor business and it's not practical for you to be at a counter and have a credit card machine. You can put one of these in your phone. I've got a PayPal one here, a Square. They'll send them to you for free. You can set them, link those to an account. They are going to charge you a processing fee, but so is the credit card processing machine too. And is that 3% or whatever the percentage that you sign up for, is that the cost of that, is that worth missing that sale? Because if you're trying to sell me and you don't take a debit card, I'm going to leave. And what's the likelihood of me coming back? I don't like to gamble with that. Plus, not having to take a check that might bounce as well. So think about those. These are free. You all can look at those if you've not seen them. Most of you probably have. How are you going to fund your business? Let's just say hypothetically, if you don't win this challenge. I know you all are probably banking on the $5,000, but if you don't win, do you have the money to start your business, or are you going to need to get a loan? We're going to talk about some resources available to you for that. How are you going to keep track of your accounting? Are you going to do it computerized? Are you going to do it with a ledger? What's your plan on keeping track of that? This one right here, I would definitely encourage you to check out and make sure that you are insured. And we're going to have an insurance person on February 17th to talk to you about that as well. But dealing with entrepreneurs, we've had all kinds of situations that have happened where somebody did not have insurance. One example of a guy that we had a business loan with, and he had bought a metal building to do body work next to his house. And he borrowed $3,500 from us for that. And part of the requirements when you have a loan with us is you have to have your collateral insured. Well, he was dragging his feet on getting that, and I had spoke with him on a Friday, and he said, oh, I'm going to have that. I'll fax it over to you on Monday. Well, over the weekend, we had a snowstorm, and that snow set on the roof of the building and collapsed the building. So now he had a loan that he had to pay on. He had no place to work, and not a good situation. That's just one example. But if you have someone that gets hurt at your place of business, you could get sued. So just make sure that you have the necessary insurance coverage. And starting a business, we encourage you to participate with the chambers and have a grand opening would be another thing. Tell me some reasons that business fail.
Lack of planning.
Lack of planning.
Lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge.
Lack of funding.
Funding.
Lack of service.
Lack of service.
Overspending.
Overspending. See what some of the ones we've got here. Insufficient money, someone said that. And lack of knowledge would be inexperience in the business. Poor management. What if you're offering a product or service that nobody wants? Happens. Just because you thought it was a great idea doesn't mean that people are going to pay for it. That's where doing your research comes in. Inability to adapt to a changing environment. We're going to talk about some businesses that did that. Failing to control costs. I think someone said spending too much. And how about poor customer service? How many of you all have ever stopped doing business with a company just because the customer service was bad? All of us have. And we'll talk about that a little bit more too. All right, let's do an activity. Let's wake us up. Let's find the handouts, and I think we've given them all out, so can I borrow? No, not that one. Let's see. We have one that says, right here. I want you to find ABC Catering Business.
I have two of those if you want one.
Oh, there's our missing one. We were wondering where. All right, so we're going to look at that, and we're going to find our blank cash flow template. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Looks like this. That's what we're working with. And you've got some real fancy calculators. You'll be real impressed with them. You may opt to use your phone calculator, whichever. So we're going to start out, and I'm going to walk you through the first month. All right, the first month. So everybody got? Does anyone need something to write with?
Everybody should have a pen in your notebook. Anybody need a pen? Are they still?
Everybody good? Okay. Month 1, what did we do? We had a big party. This is a catering company. And so on the row 1, next to sales, let's put $600 there. And then she made a personal investment of $600. So put other cash in, $600. So we had a total income of $1,200. What did she do? She bought something. What did she buy? Equipment, $1,500. She had to have an oven, a mixer, pans, warmers, and an ice fountain. $1,500. So next to equipment, let's put $1,500. Utilities. She had to install a new phone number in a line that was $100, so put $100 next to that. She had to order business cards and flyers. And she also had to mail those flyers. Postage is a sneaky little thing that you don't think about when you're doing your business plan. So we're going to put $150 next to advertising. Then next to insurance, we're going to put $100 because she had to get an extra premium for homeowners insurance because she's running this out of her home.
Did she have cash on hand to begin with?
She did not. Good question. This probably isn't going to end well, is it, if we didn't have anything? Let's see. Miscellaneous expense, other cash expenses, $50. Her total expenses were $1,900. As someone already pointed out, she didn't start out too well, so she is in the hole cash flow $700. And that is also her ending balance, negative $700. You can just put parentheses around the 700 to show that it's in the hole. So what does that mean she's starting out month 2 with?
Negative 700.
Negative 700. That's another tricky thing about cash flow. Is it however you end the month? That's how you start the next month. So we're in the hole 700. What did she do? She had 2 parties, so she had $700 coming in. That was her total income for month 2 was $700. What else did we have going on? She had to buy supplies to make the food. So she probably had to buy flour, sugar, and that type of thing. So materials, which for her, that's her materials, food supplies. So $560 there. $25 for utilities. $20 for auto expense. And she had to buy an eye for the stove. She put that under other cash expenses. So now we've got a total expenses of $630. What was her cash flow for month 2? Anybody?
She started it with -700. So she's still in the
That's her
negative.
balance. What was her cash flow for month 2?
$700 in sales.
$70.
Oh, it would still be seven, even though you had a negative 700 at the top?
Oh, that's our ending balance.
The ending balance is 630, but the cash flow, she actually was to the good $70 for the second month. So it helped decrease her in the hole that she was. Does that make sense?
So she made money on the second one?
She made $70.
Because she paid tax.
Because she had 700 in sales and she only had 630 in expenses.
Right.
Make sense? Okay, so what are we gonna start month 3 out with now?
Negative 630.
Right, negative 630. I'm gonna let you guys do month 3 and let's see what you come up with. If I have any overachievers and you've already finished month 3, go on to 4 while we wait for everyone else. What do we have for income for month 3?
$50.
600. How much did she have in expenses for month 3? 555. Very good. What was her cash flow for month 3? 45. And an ending balance of negative 585. Does anyone have questions on how this is working? Why do we do this on a monthly basis? Why are we not just looking at what their total income for the year would be and what their expenses would be for the year?
I have one question. In her first month, she spent $1,500 for the year. It doesn't show she's, how she's paying that person back. That's where she robbed him.
Well, she would have had to have done something, because you can't, in the real world, have negative $700. I mean, you can't, that's not physically possible. So she would have had to have borrowed it or something, said that she would pay him in payments or something, yeah. But it doesn't tell you. Yes?
That's the beauty of cash flows. You can do this before you actually start chunking out the money. It's like a checkbook on steroids.
Yeah.
And the thing you can do with cash flow, and again, it is cash only. It's not when it's due, it's when you pay it. It's not when you're supposed to sell it, it's when you get paid. So if somebody buys something February 28th and you don't see the money until April 1st, when do you record that sale? April 1st. Because you didn't see the money. This is cash. It's not accounts receivable, it's not accounts payable. If you owe on June 5th and you pay it June 10th, when you write it into your cash flow? June. But if you don't pay it until July, that money can leave your pocket until July. So you're showing an accurate money go pocket, money going out of your pocket. That's what they're interested in seeing, to see if in fact you can sustain enough inflow and control the outgo, if you know you want another month or another 6 months, or, you know, kids go alone, you're making enough to pay them back. They'd like to know that. And so, what Cindy's going through, this poor girl's in a world of hurt, okay? But if she has a good month, and she gets paid that month, she can wipe it out and be just fine. So, cash flow is different than accounting. It is more of a finance thing. This is historic. When you look into the future and you do the business plan.
Right, projecting it. So that leads right into the question I asked. Why are we not doing this on a year basis? Why are we not just looking what our total sales would be for the year and what our total expenses would be for the year? How often do you have to pay the rent payment?
Every month.
How often do you have to pay your utilities?
Every month.
Do you think your employees are going to want to wait a year to get a paycheck? No. So that's why we're doing this on a month-to-month basis. And I learned a lesson. Yes, I'm learning. It's a whole other world when you're actually on the side of the business owner as opposed to teaching it, because you see a lot of different things. But when my fiance was looking to buy his business, we were, and Tom will appreciate this, it was an existing business, and we had 5 years worth of financials. So I knew what the total yearly income was, what their expenses were. So we hashed that out and looked at it. Well, about a year into it, no, it was less than a year into it, he was running out of cash flow. And I was like, what is going on? Why? We studied these numbers. We looked at these numbers. It doesn't make sense. Then it dawned on me. We were looking at it on a yearly basis. You can't do that because there's going to be months that are going to be really lean and there's going to be months that are boom. So that's why you've got to do this on a month-to-month basis, and you've got to make sure that you have enough cash coming in to cover those monthly bills. Give me an example of a business that you think would be seasonal, where you're going to have, I didn't want to pick on you, but I was thinking of yours. So what season would be a big season as far as having a lot of cash coming in for you? Middle of the summer, because you're an outdoor activity. People will be on the river, right? Would we want to be on the river right now? No. So he's got to plan ahead, and he's got to make sure that he's going to have enough cash coming in, because the employees, you would probably not have employees there during that time, but your monthly expenses are you're still going to have them. Now, granted, they may go down some. The fuel for driving the people up the river to get on the river and that type of thing may go down, but you've got to look at it on a monthly basis. And that's why this is extremely important, that you understand a cash flow and how they work. I'm going to give you another example here. I'll let each of you open one of these. Now, this is a bill that we sent out to a customer, and this is what we got back. It was a $100 invoice we sent out. So tell me let's start right here. What did the customer send back with that bill? $100. $100! I got my whole 100. What'd you get?
20.
20? What'd you get?
This customer broke his foot and has been unable to work. He didn't pay the bill.
Ah, okay. So what happened to my cash flow? I was planning on having $300 come in, and I just ended up with 120. This stuff happens. This real life. We actually got this note from somebody that had a business loan with us. So you've got to think about that. You got to think about the what ifs, and I encourage you to be conservative when you're doing these cash projections. Worst case scenario, what's the highest that electric bill could be? What's the least amount of sales that I think? What's the worst case scenario? So that you can see that you can stay afloat. And that's why you want to do this when you're doing your business plan, because I would much rather you discover that this does not make sense, it's not going to work, my plan's not going to work, I'm going to be in the hole, than see you have to sell or get in debt or, heaven forbid, bankrupt or something. So you much rather have it make sense on this piece of paper than to stick your neck out on and find out later that it didn't make sense. Any questions We just passed out the answer sheet for this so that you can, if you want to work on this some more. And remember, I did say that I have a template. If you want me to email it to you, just send me an email and I'll give you an Excel spreadsheet where you can plug those numbers in. All right, so somebody mentioned that this lady started out with $0 on hand. Not probably a good way to start your business. So how are you going to finance your business? There's two ways to do that. You can borrow the money. My clicker's giving up on me. Or maybe you have some money underneath your mattress or a nest egg or a golden egg sitting on your kitchen table. Equity or debt? Two ways to do it. Equity would be your personal savings. Maybe you have a rich uncle